Welcome to Case 5, third day of this thing. I've been having a lot of trouble finishing this case. Mostly because I've been kind of busy. Let's go. I still am like sussing a person that I don't want to suss. But we know who it is. The question is, who is he? Ayo, Shiro. I have a big internal debate going on. Because they said the magical words when, the same thing they said during the last case of the final game in the trilogy. It's the last person you expect. And I'm hoping that two people aren't the same person. Hoping, anyways. I don't think they are the same people. But I have I'm putting like a 0.1% chance that that's the solution. Yeah. There's a lot of loose ends I gotta fill up. The only thing that's making me say no is person A and person B might have been in the same place, and I'm hoping not. I'm thinking person A is the guy who went to steal the coat, right, from Gina, and person B is Sherlock Holmes or Herlock Sholmes. Yeah. Well, this is the final case of the first game, so we expect it. Ah, Gina, how you holding up? I'm starting to feel quite warmly towards our frequent cold shoulders now. Guinea! Are you alright? Why aren't you saying anything? What's the point, eh? Why go to all this trouble and fight so hard for the likes of me? What? Well, you saw that picture. What picture? We haven't even seen any of the music discs. Ah, you mean this, the photograph taken by Hurley's red-handed recorder. Well, I didn't think it would have captured a scene like this, that's for sure. It's hopeless. Anyone who sees that's gonna think I did it, ain't they? Well, I won't pretend it wasn't a bit of a shock when the prosecution first presented it to the court. Surely you gotta have your doubts about me now. You can't still think I'm innocent. Of course I can. Guinea, why don't you talk to us? Tell us what really happened that night. Eh? Runo's cleverly managed to piece together a whole lot of new information, but still. We'd really like to hear it from you. See, I don't know why I think... Well, I kind of have an idea why I think Herlock Sholmes and the guy who stole the code is the same guy. But the only thing telling me not is because I remember talking to the one guy and Herlock Sholmes was in the back. We'd really like to hear it from you. What I don't like is Herlock Sholmes' pose is very similar to the pose that all three of them have made. Alright then. It was after we had that dinner together at your place, right, Iris? Then we all had a chat up in your office, didn't we? Yes, I remember. After that, I just couldn't get to sleep. So I slipped out and went down the street to the 2-1, the Windy Banks place. I had to know if Iris' story was there or not, the Hound of the Baskervilles. I don't know what it's about or nothing, but if you ask me, there's something in that Sholmes don't like. Something what he don't want people reading. So that's why I lied to Iris about sticking in love with Windybank for safekeeping. At least, that's what I thought at the time. The Hound of the Baskervilles could also point to the identities of those two guys being the same, like painting Sherlock Holmes as not who he is. So he broke into Windybanks. I just had to know if it was there or not. I mean, I had no idea how that was going to kick off. Did I? I struck the lock and snuck inside. It was as dark as you like in there. So I gave the oil lamp at the counter a bit of a wick. And that's when... What do you think you're doing? Ah. I nearly died, I did. And next thing I knew... I grabbed a gun off the counter living near, like, I don't know what. Ah, you're the girl who was in here this afternoon. I didn't think pickpockets went in for armed robbery. The manuscript. Have you got it here? Did Sholmes leave a load of papers with you? A story. I beg your pardon? The Hound of the something or another. If it's there, I want to see it. I'm sorry, young lady, but I'd sooner die than relinquish an article belonging to one of my customers. I don't want it. What would I do with it anyway? I just want to see it's there, that's all. Oh, you want to see it, don't you? I want to know if Sholmes really pawned it here or not. Please, just let me see it, and I'll go. Oh, very well then. But for pity's sake, stop waving that gun around, would you? So then the old cove unlocked the storeroom door, and we both went inside. And it was there, all right. The manuscript. Sholmes weren't lying after all. You did all that just to check for me, Guinea. Anyway, then there was a bit of a kick-up in the main bit of the shop. The Skulkin brothers arriving on the scene, yes. What was that noise? Someone break in? Dear me, is there some burglars convention here tonight that I don't know about? I think I forgot to shut the door behind me. Sorry. I better go and take care of it. Could I possibly have my gun back? Oh, well, I'll come with you and... No, don't be foolish, young girl. You must stay right here. Don't leave this room under any circumstances. And with that, he took the gun in hand and walked back into the shop. I hung back in the storeroom, like you said, straining my ears in the dark to hear what's going on. It sounded like they got in a bit of a scrap. I started to think I should help, see? So I was just about to go out to the storeroom myself, when... I heard a couple of shots go off. 2, I think, almost the same time. And then there was, right at me feet, lying face down on the floor. I was right next to the storeroom door, and so I slammed it shut and locked it as quick as you like, because you thought whoever had shot Mr. Windybank might come for you. Yeah, so I went to grab the old cove's gun. I figured I'd put up a fight at least. But when I got a better look at him, I knew. Windybank was a goner. I felt funny in my head all of a sudden, kinda dizzy. And after that, I don't remember nothing. That must be when you passed out, Dina. If I hadn't done what I'd done, the old cove might still be alive. Did you tell the police everything you just told us? Of course I did, but they didn't believe a word of it, did they? All they said was if I kept telling lies, it'd make things even worse for me. I'll be alright, Guinea, don't worry. Just stay here a little strong a little longer. Runa's about to put the real culprit through the mill. God, I hope it's not who I think it is. The cove, what was there in the afternoon? That! Eggert Benedict. I still remember how he looked at me, like I was nothing. It was there that night. We don't know his real name yet, but I'm convinced that he's still involved somehow. Anyway, thank you for telling us what happened, Dina. I appreciate your honesty. You what? You can leave it all at Runo's Capable's hand now, Guinea. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? How come you trust me? I don't get it. I mean, have you forgotten what happened here before? Come on. It was only 2 months ago. Me and McGilded, we told you a whole pack of lies. And you got to the bog crawler with him, even though he was a killer. No, I could never forget that. Oh. I did what I thought was best at the time. But the pain of that error of judgment doesn't get any easier to bear. Still, don't forget that I also made you a promise. I told you that I'd be on your side to the bitter end. Matter what. But what if I'm lying? You could be working to get another killer off the hook for all you know. I was once in your position, Gina. I was the accused in a trial. You were. Before I left Japan, I was accused of murder. And strange as it might sound, the circumstances of the crime were pretty damning. I was sure that no one would believe it wasn't me who'd done it. Oh, Runo. But there was one person who stood up for me, who believed in me, and was prepared to defend me. My best friend. Runosuke, no one believes in you more than I do. Leave this to me. All you need to do is put your faith in me, and I'll do the rest. I was so happy I cried. But even then, somewhere inside me, I couldn't help thinking, surely he doesn't really believe in me. Not completely. But I was wrong. As soon as my trial began, it was obvious that he had an absolute, unwavering belief in me. And in turn, I developed an absolute, unwavering belief in him. Since then, I came to realize, if you want someone to believe in you, you have to believe in the other person first. What do you say? I promise you, Gina, that no matter what happens, I'll keep believing in you. So you don't need to worry. I won't let you down. Even though I'm a diver? And a no-good liar? You're not like McGildred. I know that. Eh? That's right, you're our friend, Gina. Iris, we know you better than you think. And we've come to the conclusion that you're someone we can trust. Sup, Reds? How's it going? Yes, that's really all we need to know. Welcome to Spoilerville. Population, Rats and Shiro and me. Mr. Naruhodo. How's the wife? Sniffle, sniffle. Defendant Gina Lestrade and your legal representative. Court proceedings are about to resume. Please head into the courtroom immediately. Yes, of course. Thank you. I've been both a defendant and a defending lawyer in my time, so I knew only too well just how hard it was to put all your faith in another. And I also knew just how hard it was to bear the burden of another putting all their faith in you. Rats! This is it at last, the final chapter, the final battle. Wish me luck, Sasato-san. And I hope you're watching over me too, partner. How you guys doing today? I'm doing great. I have work tomorrow. I shouldn't have work, but I do have work. 17th April, 1:41 p.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. I hereby call this court to order as we resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Ah, yes, I'm definitely still in Japan. I'm just doing some critical thinking here. I hereby call this court to order as we resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Lord Van Zeeks, have you successfully subpoenaed the witness? The subpoena was delivered to the communication station where the man works immediately, my lord. However, the heavy rain has delayed the arrival of his carriage, it would seem. I see. Then let us turn our attention to Inspector Gregson's persists of the case heard and recorded by this morning. The glaring omission of the third bullet in your report is a serious blunder, Inspector. Yes, I can only apologize, my lord. And although the defense chemical analysis of the blood at the scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untried methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom. Japan has treated me very well. Work is hard, it's a little long, but it's worth it. Every day is absolutely adorable. Big mistake to cross Hurley and me, a very big mistake. My lord, The subpoenaed witness has just arrived in this building. Thank you, officer. Show him to the stand without delay. Mr. Eggert Benedict. I didn't expect to be crossing paths with him again so soon, and certainly not like this. Thank you for complying with the court's subpoena at such short notice, sir. But of course, my lord. As an upstanding member of London society, it's my pleasure to oblige. Now, kindly state your name and occupation for the record. Ashley Graydon, What? Communications officer. Mr. Graydon and I both work at London Central Communications Station. Now, perhaps somebody would kindly explain what all this is about. Andre, that's really tough. The program that I'm on needs a degree. It doesn't matter what degree, it just needs a degree, right? I'll tell you right now, the chances of you getting there are thin unless you get hired by a specific company before you travel over, because you need to submit a paper that actually has work papers in it in that time. If it was pre-COVID, you would have zero problem. Yeah, why is his real name Ashley? If it was, that's gotta be not his name. Now perhaps somebody would kindly explain what all this is about. You were apprised of the situation by the court officer on your way here, I presume? Yes, I was. Something to do with the murder that took place at a pawnbroker's on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question. That is the accusation, indeed. This really is beyond a joke, you know. Very well, without further delay, the court will hear your testimony now, Mr. McGraden. You will respond to the accusation made against you under oath. Gladly, my lord. Rupert would make more sense, but... Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbroking services from time to time, but are you seriously suggesting I concluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation, even if certain parties have been here present claim my blood was found at the scene. Some scaramouth detective's homebrewed tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence, which is true. So you deny the accusation completely, do you? I must say, I am dismayed. For the highest court in the land to be swayed by the self-professed detective's toy. All we have to do is get him to open his coat. With the will of the jury and our great British justice system demands that the jury's will is upheld. Then it would seem we have the misfortune of the most inept assembly of jurors today. Oh, by golly! How long am I expected to be detained here? If, following the defense's cross-examination, your involvement in this matter has not been established, you will be free to leave immediately. Good, then I shall be away in time for afternoon tea. Some small consolation, at least. Let us not hold up Mr. Graydon any longer than necessary, counsel. Proceed with the cross-examination. So we meet again, Mr. Eggert Benedict. Or is it Mr. Graydon? My apologies, you are... Runosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer, we have met. If you say so, Ashley Graydon. Enchanté. Enchanté. So. Eh? I trust we can conclude this quickly. What do you want me to do with this hat? But I'm not holding your flashy hat while we do. I would just put it down. Damn, that hair, though. That's slick hair. The accusation. Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbroking services from time to time. Okay. Yes, we even met during the very pawnbrokery where the crime took place on the afternoon of the day in question. Though, of course, you introduced yourself by a different name at the time. It was Mr. Eggert Benedict, I believe. Tell me, what made you? Objection! The witness is here to testify about the events that took place that night. He is under no obligation to answer such unrelated questions. For once, that is actually an objection I agree with. You can't be serious. Thank you, because I certainly do not feel inclined to answer such an inappropriate question. So he's going to be evasive, is he? In an effort not to give anything away. This could be tricky. But are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I think we gotta get one of the other two thugs to slip up. Have you seen these two men before? This pair? No, I don't associate with criminals. Said by a man who introduced himself as Zagrid Benedict. I'd like to know what I have to thank for this. Who I have to thank for this. Who made this outlandish accusation against me? The young lawyer there in the black. This is a farce. Whose idea was it to permit an outsider to work in a British court anyway? Well, needless to say.
Hold it!
Where were you at around 1 in the morning in the night in question, sir? That is past the hour at which I would normally retire. Certainly. I was not in the company of these rapscallions. You were able to prove that.
Objection!
Listen carefully, my learned Nipponese friend. For you appear to be under a gross misapprehension on this point. What do you mean? The witness maintains he was not at the scene of the crime. He has no obligation to prove his absence. If your accusation is that witness was present at the scene, the obligation lies with you to prove your assertion. That is also true. But there's also a thing in American one that's called alibis. And if you have no way to ascertain your alibi, you're still on a suspect list. Until your whereabouts are proven. You will fulfill that obligation before putting any more unreasonable questions to the witness. A silent victory wiggle. Thanks. Even if a certain parties here present claim no blood was found at the scene, this is my thing. He must be injured. Blood was found at the scene of the crime. There's no question of that. Mr. Shope's chemical analysis has positively identified substances as such. But I am not the only human to have blood running through my veins, am I? How can you be so sure that the blood is mine? It could equally be the blood of one of these two miscreants. That is also true. Every individual's blood has a slightly different composition, it seems. Mr. Shope's chemical is able to differentiate different blood samples by... Spare me the science lesson. Who is that Shope's character anyway? Oh, I assumed all Londoners would know the name. He's a great, well, renowned detective. Ouch. So even if you're unable to bring yourself to say great detective. A great detective, you say? Tisk, now where in the realm of fairy tales are we?
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin? What, me? No, Mr. Skulkin next to you. I've had it up to here with this. How many times I gotta tell you? Yes, I know, you're not Big Bruv Skulky. The green one, Mr. Nash Skulkin. Corblime, Governor? You what? I know we need one of them to slip up. It's not the case when Mr. Graydon just spoke. You thought you went through your mind. Would you care to share that thought with the court? My thoughts have none of them. Must have been him. You what? Mr. Nash Skulkin, answer the question, please. We went through your mind when Mr. Graydon just spoke. Nothing, honest Gov, nothing. I was just thinking. If you wave an arm around like that much more, it'll open up the wound again, that's all. What wound? Where he took the bullet, of course. It was only 2 days ago. It ain't gonna be healed up yet. You have just cost this man everything. So I was, well, you know, I was worried for him and, oh, hell's bells. Mr. Graydon, did you hear that? What? Your comrade is worried about you, it seems. On account of your injured arm. My lord. Yes, Mr. Graydon. I have no idea what these two wretches were talking about. Certainly I shouldn't be expected to answer anything in relation to their mindless insinuations. We now know that someone other than the victim was hit by a bullet at the scene of the crime 2 nights ago. And from the height of the bullet hole in the wall, that person was likely hit in the upper arm or thereabouts. Perhaps you'd allow a court official to examine your arm, sir. The left arm you are currently clasping with your right hand, as if in pain. No, I refuse. Oh, I knew it! You have shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to these common thieves. Accordingly, I'm not obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy. As I've already said, I'm completely uninvolved in all of this. I never had anything to do with the pawnbrokery where this fellow was killed whatsoever. I take offense at the insinuation that I was in any way involved. You claim to have nothing whatsoever to do with Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery. My lord, the defense would like that last statement to be added to the Graydon's formal testimony. Very well, counsel. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Graydon. Here we go. The bottom line is I've never had anything to do with the pawnbrokering establishment where the man was killed. Now... You're right, this is a little tougher. Let's talk to him during this. Never had anything to do with it. You forget that I was there, Mr. Graydon, on the very afternoon of the incident. Obviously, I'm not a complete stranger to the pawnbrokers. I'm currently on the lookout for an armchair to furnish my study.
Objection.
No, you were there to redeem an article. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Inspector? Yeah, come again, Sunshine. You were there too, in fact, weren't you, Inspector? That afternoon. Well, yes, I do remember meeting yourself and the pawnbroker that afternoon. You, your young Japanese assistant, and the accused were all present, as I recall. And at that time, this witness, Mr. Graydon, was trying to acquire a particular article. Well now. I'm afraid I don't remember too clearly. Goddamn. What? But you must. I'm not going to lie and pretend I remember something that I don't. What's going on here? Gregsy showed us a picture before, didn't he? You know, from the cameras in the Hurley installed in Windybanks. Yeah, of course. Indeed, and the gentleman pictured bears a striking resemblance to the witness, I must say. Exactly, which proves that Mr. Graydon was in the shop the afternoon in question. At no point have I denied that fact. Let's go! Sup, Izzy? I merely entered the shop as a previous to the articles on sale and have a word with the broker. Nothing more. That makes no sense. I understand why Mr. Graydon might be trying to cover his tracks. But why would Gregson be trying to avoid giving testimony about what happened? That's all he's going to say on the matter, is it? What do you think, Bruno? I think he has no intention of telling us anything. He's well aware that the less he says, the less chance he has of giving himself away. The complete opposite of Hurley, then. He seems to think that the more he says, the better. At least I managed to praise a little more information out of these witnesses' lips. All thanks to the Skulkin brothers. Yes, they were the keys to it after all. So he says he has nothing to do with Windybanks. Well, we know that's not true. Perhaps now would be a good time to have a proper look through the court record. Good idea. You never know what tiny scrap of information could become a valuable weapon. See, he went for the metal disc, but we need to prove he was there. I'm gonna do a backup save real quick. Yeah, where's the one photograph of him actually there? I just woke up, man. It's 9 a.m. The blood on the admin is identified as Mr. Mason's.
Objection!
Nope. I'm just gonna reload. I'm being cowardly today. Earl overthinking. I am overthinking. We need to prove he was there. I've never had anything to do with the pawnbroking establishment in which the man was killed. Normally I would think it's the disc.
Objection!
Have you ever seen this disc before, Mr. Graydon? Why? Is it supposed to mean something? This disc was, until the day of the murder, in pawn in Mr. Windybank's shop. It was redeemed by the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, this afternoon, however. Somebody mysteriously appeared to try to take it from her. And that somebody was you, of course, wasn't it, Mr. Graydon? As I have read it numerous times now, you are mistaken, that was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life. It may have escaped your notice, but there's a small smear of blood on the disc. Ah yes, resulting from an abrasion of the thumb, perhaps. That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, while the disc bears the remnants of that skirmish in the form of this smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also, in the form of a scratch. Good gracious, indeed it must. Mr. Graydon, you refused to allow a court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse to allow us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on the disc. Well, well. It would seem I underestimated you. What was the meaning of this? So you admit it now. You admit you have a scratch on your thumb from when you attempted to take a disc from the defendant. Order, order. Well, Mr. Graydon, it would appear there has been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse. What are you trying to say? It's really quite simple, you see. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn? What? It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in his piece of evidence, my learned friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now. As you wish, though I'm quite sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with the pawnbroker's murder. What's up, Tyson? How's it going? There's a note on the disc saying, "For Mr. McGildred," but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy guttering, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. Smart. This guy's actually thinking is very solid. Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGildred, you say, the famous London philanthropist. Good, did you see Sonic yet? No, it will take at least 40 days for it to come to Japan. Actually, August. I'm hoping to Ninja into Paramount Plus when it comes out on there. Or like whenever it starts being available for streaming, and then I will watch it. It sucks, but that's how it is. We haven't even got we just got Batman. Like, Batman is new right now in the theater. Came out last Friday. Compared to the very courtroom 2 months ago after being acquitted of distinctly mass murder. Yes, my lord. The one and the same. Good lord, Mr. Graydon. Are you saying that Mr. McGildred and yourself were acquainted? Yes, that's correct. Order? Well, I certainly didn't expect to hear that name uttered before in my courtroom again. According to what Gina told us, the disc was placed in pawn that fateful night 2 months ago. McGildred himself gave instructions to deposit it at Windy Banks. Funny that Mr. Graydon here is claiming the disc belongs to him then, isn't it? In all likelihood, he's lying. So he appeared the afternoon at Windy Banks in order to get his hand on McGildred's disc for some reason. Counsel, you will commence your cross-examination, please.
Hold it!
Would you care to explain how this belongs to you? As you will observe, a communications officer such as myself commands a fine salary. You are certainly exquisitely dressed, sir. So you see, I have little need to make use of the services provided by the pawnbrokery trade. However, I did once find myself in difficulties having misplaced my purse whilst on an errand, which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broker in question. You claim that was your overcoat? Obviously, and in my haste I clean forgot that the music box disc was in its pocket. And yet, there is a note on it that reads, "For McGildred." I am a collector of rare and unusual music box music. I first met McGildred at the Gentleman's Club in the city and was interested to discover that he shared my penchant in that area. So the disc in question is a pre-production sample. I promised to let Mr. McGildred hear it. But then you forgot that it was in the pocket of the overcoat you were forced to pawn. Yes, exactly. Interesting. You didn't mention any of that in her testimony 2 months ago, did she? No, because Mr. McGildred had threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Which means that if we dig too deeply here, it's going to expose Gina's perjury. Oh dear, that is complicated, isn't it? Let's leave it alone for the time being. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused of filthy guttering on the day in question. So you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket from your pocket or bag? That's right. Despite my mindful danger when walking the insalubrious area, her kind frequent.
Objection!
Miss Lestrade did no such thing. Well, of course you would take that stance, but the girl's a regular offender. You came to the pawnbrokery that day prepared with all the information you needed to identify the defendant. You were looking for her. That's why I brought you the Windy Banks. You get your hands on Mr. McGildred's disc.
Objection!
Which hasn't been proven in court. My learned friend is a veritable font of nonsense. Nonsense. I concur with the prosecution. Counsel, you will refrain from conjecturing this way. Is that clear? Yes, my lord. Then I will continue my testimony for what possible use it can be. Proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. Had you ever been to Windy Banks before? Only once, for the purposes of pawning something. But like many, I enjoy browsing such establishments. So when you noticed that the pickpocket had taken your ticket, you chased after her, is that correct? Yes, that's right. I didn't notice at first, such as the art of pick-purse. But when I did, I headed to the pawnbrokery at once. I ordered to reclaim my coat before the thief could. I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place. He can say what he likes because he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police.
Hold it!
Yes, it was taken by the Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it? That's right. This was the very man. Apparently the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGildred as evidence.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Inspector? Well, what do you mean? The last remark Mr. Graydon made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way. No, it didn't. It's nothing, leave it alone. Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGildred's possessions? I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine. What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets? Yes, exactly. You should all know about that. Magnus McGildred, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago, a man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions in public life, yet he has a dark side too. Where are you going with this, Ivan Zeeks? I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they? That's enough. Coppers like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know. Duties conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presume. The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector. The bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you're going to need Lord Strongheart's paw print first. What's all this about? Are we connecting somehow? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van Zeeks here. Well, it would appear that the Inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Mr. Graydon, let us return to your testimony. Gladly, my lord. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. Tyson, if you're still there, as soon as I see the Sonic movie, I'll promise you, you'll be the first person I call, regardless of the time. But perhaps you've seen something of value among the forfeited items. No, not at all. Oh. A valuer was brought in by police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common or garden bric-a-brac. In that case, it's clear that you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGildred's disc. Have you not been listening, man? Even if I had wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it had been seized by the police that afternoon. It was no more at the shop that night than I. As I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in. So there was nothing of McGildred's left in the shop that night. Nothing that man might have been after. I wonder if that's really true. Runa, if you have some evidence, then let him have it. I'm dying to see that irritatingly absurd expression on his crumble. Gildred slipped the disc in his coat pocket and had it deposited at Windy Banks. Then, when he realized he was going to be arrested on suspicion of the omnibus murder, he threatened Gina and forced her to take the redemption ticket. There's no doubt about it. That witness is lying through his pearly white teeth. The police were obviously after anything left behind by McGildred as well. That's why Inspector Gregson ended up taking the disc into custody that day. But Gregsy's being very strange about all this. There must be a reason for that, I'm sure. I just don't know what it is. For now, I need to focus on exposing the fact that Graydon is lying about his testimony. "13th April, 9 p.m. These things were pawned within 1 hour of each other. Date deposited, 15 February, 10:30. 13th February. No, they weren't. They were deposited a couple days within each other.
Objection!
This disc was deposited at Winnie Banks on Magnus McGildren's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself.
Objection!
Conjecture again! And in any case, the disc was taken into custody by police this afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbroker again that night. Sorry, my learned friend, but that's not true. What? Mr. McGildred had another article in pawn at the Windy Banks, as this second pawnbroker's ticket proves. There were two articles belonging to Mr. McGildred and Windy Banks Pawnbrokery, and the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. Together with your two accomplices, the Skulkin brothers. This is the second ticket, is it? What had the man think? The article description reads, one small box. A rather vague description, it seems to me. Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd. Why on earth would I do such a thing? On the article that had been forfeited, I could simply walk in the shop and purchase it. There would be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. That's a good point. Indeed. The witness makes a solid argument. So that means that for some reason, this graded fellow needed a small box that very night, does it?
Objection!
It's time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord. Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Van Zeeks? I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery. And the rest assured the prosecution can prove it. What? How the fuck? Good gracious. Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, you please. Yes, sir. What prints? These prints were taken from one of the detective's security cameras. Ah, Hurley's red-handed recorders again. As previously explained, using the plan of the shop layout. The victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in two locations. One was set to capture on the left, and the other one on the north-right. And the other one's... According to the information on this ticket, we hear the small box had been forfeited already. 2 days before the incident at 9 p.m. on the 13th of April, to be precise. Which means it would have been on the shelves of forfeited items in the shop front. Now, what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras 2 hours before the incident. That's 11 p.m. on 15th of April. The victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear. Oh no, I'm gonna have to go cross-eyed again. I can't go cross-eyed. Then we have another print. This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident. I see. So, we have two pictures to compare. Give me 1 second here. I'll make this easier for you guys for 1 second. Do we see anything incriminating? I can't go cross-eyed, so maybe you can go cross-eyed on my ugly face on the screen. Let me get rid of my ugly face. Okay. Yes, we know the difference is a text in Lauren Shearer was saying, but give me a second. For those that don't know, let's play a game. Okay. So I can't point on the screen, but I already see one minor difference in something shuffled. Okay, so at the bottom right of the screen, you see this box here. It's actually shifted just a little. That's one difference. Let's see if we can find another one. The books are the same. That's the only difference, but it doesn't look like anything's taken. It just looks like it's placed weirdly. The small box could be inside whatever that is. We do have one difference. I can't fucking do the cross-eyed thing. Some people are really good at that. I just can't fucking do it. For the time being, I feel... It's that jam jar. What jam jar? Okay. We'll do it this way. Starting from the sign there, where it says Le Plint or Le Pain something, like the French sign under the 11 o'clock one. Counter 1, counter 2, counter 3, counter 4 is the first row. Counter 5, counter 6, counter 7, and counter 8 by the wood dividers. And then 9, 10, 11, 12. What counter is that on? Like, it's on the right bottom shelf. Yeah, that's the only thing that moved. Okay, let's go with that. Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache. Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we consider theft as one of the possible motives in the case. We explored the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life. So your men have already compared these two prints thoroughly, Inspector. Yes, sir. No, you have not. We counted every single item in each of these two photographic prints. And the Yard's conclusion is that exactly the same number present in both. In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbroker on the night in question. And my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy. If I could have just shown that he'd stolen Mr. Gilden's pawn box, I might have been able to break him down at last. You know what, Runo? I've been thinking. I wonder if these two photographs really are exactly the same. What? So, counsel, in the light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? It seems that, in fact, on the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion? No, I do not. Could there be some hidden discrepancy in the last few photographic prints somewhere? There. I wasn't sure at first, but it's a discrepancy between these two prints. What? You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel. Indicate the precise location of discrepancy in which you speak.
Take that!
Take that! Granted, these two prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them. What? When you view the two pictures stereoscopically, a single area stands out as being different. Of this small box. Let me wait. Unbelievable. By Jove, you're right. How extraordinary. What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilden's small box was indeed not stolen from Winnie Banks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned its place on the shelves. Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by McGilden is in fact, yes, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints?
Objection!
Mindless guesswork. What if it was? So a box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means, quite simply, that nothing has changed. That may be true, but... Alright, McGilden's box wasn't stolen. But doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? It changes everything! I believe this changes everything about the case. How can that possibly be? The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves at Windy Banks as we speak.
Objection!
Oh, really? That's interesting. That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial. The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Van Zeke. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination. Okay. I'm not leaving, but I'm going to take a 5-second recess to hang my laundry. You notice me drop all my coins? Yeah, I totally dropped all my coins. So I was emptying out my jeans, and I picked my jeans up, and then all the coins just fucking hit the ground, and I'm just not picking them up. I'm going to tell you one thing about Japan. You're going to get a buttload of change. It's a change economy. It's ridiculous. Anyways. We should have a report within a half hour.